Okay, let's get started. Hi everyone, great to be here at Open Source Summit. This is quite a clickbait title on this talk. This is something that we actually believe in. And for us, this means work smarter, have fewer meetings, and no managers unless they are really needed. This comes from when we started the company with a simple idea and a small determined team. No investors, no management layers, just a clear focus on solving a real problem. Fast forward till today, we built a profitable, remote-first company that actually earns money on open source. And we're proud to be recognized by the Financial Times as one of Europe's fastest-growing companies. In this talk, we will share how we managed to scale the company without losing its culture, and some lessons that we learned by building a high-growth SaaS company based on open-source software. I'm Magnus, lead developer at 84Code. And if I get to choose software, I always go for open source. I've been running Linux on my laptop ever since I switched from Windows XP, which was quite a while ago. When I'm not at the computer, I love spending time out on the ocean. And the picture you see here is me on a sea rescuing boat on the Swedish west coast. Sea rescuing in Sweden is voluntary work, so I try to help out and spend as much time as I can there outside of my real work. The picture in the middle is me, Lovisa, and two more colleagues on a company trip. And the last picture is on Lovisa.
Yeah, and my name is Lovisa. I work as Chief Marketing Officer at 84Codes, and in Sweden we have this habit of always talking about the weather. So I will do that. I love the windy days. It gets me out on the water kite surfing. I love the sunny days. They're just the best. I love the first days of snow, which means you can take up the skis and go skiing. And as Magnus said, here we are in Kittelfjäll, which is located in Sweden, which is also our home country. What I don't like is when it's raining, but somehow I taught my kids that when it's rain, we celebrate, so we go out and dance in the rain. And this is super cute until it happens at 6 a.m. in the morning. And they come into the bedroom screaming, "Mom, we need to go out and dance in the rain." And you're not so fancy for that. But now let's start with something unexpected, Counter-Strike. Counter-Strike was my gateway into tech. Back in 2007, I spent countless hours with my clan communicating. I was even sketching on maps during school lectures. Setting up gaming servers in our closet and hosting LAN parties in the basement was a true adventure, and we spent hours running cables, troubleshooting connections, and all that. And one time I even accidentally unplugged the cable to the freezer. And you can just imagine the smell a week later. It had taken a life on its own, one could say. Back then, it was all about problem solving and having fun, and in a way, that spirit hasn't changed much. Whether it's setting up a queue, debugging a system, or building a whole new message broker, it's often with the same blend of challenge, creativity, and satisfaction of making things work. 2007 also saw the launch of LavinMQ, a message broker that was initially built to handle communication problems, especially in the area of finance. And LavinMQ is a message broker. It's a software. It enables asynchronous communication between and within your system. And when time has gone by, it's realized that it's needed in almost every modern system today. Eventually, I started studying computer science and engineering, and this is where I met Magnus, but also our CEO and founder, Carl. And we had a lot of fun back then. We were talking late into evenings. We were dancing badly at student parties. And we learned a lot of things by just trying things out together. And that shared journey of just enjoying each other's company and navigating university life made us build a foundation of trust. So after university, Carl, he moved to Bali and launched CloudAMQP. And both Magnus and we jumped on that train not long after, and we have been embracing remote work long before it became mainstream. For over a decade now, we have been hosting RabbitMQ in the cloud for more than a decade, as I said, and simply we install, configure, maintain the message brokers so the customers don't have to do that. We are today a global company with employees in more than 6 countries and customers in more than 100 countries, and we have around 4,500 paying customers today.
Early on, we launched RabbitMQ through platforms like Heroku and Microsoft Azure Marketplace, which handle marketing, billing, and customer onboarding in exchange for a small commission. It was a simple setup that allowed us to get to market quickly and focus on what mattered most, running a reliable messaging service. As demand grew, we expanded steadily, adding more data centers, and eventually we built our own platforms, adding more integration tools. And eventually we started offering hosting on other services like Apache Kafka. The mindset has stayed the same: fix bugs fast, listening closely to our users, and ship within days within these requests coming in, showing that we really listen and caring to our users and customers. When we decided to launch new services like Apache Kafka and Postgres, our approach wasn't to start from scratch. We instead reused the same infrastructure that we already had, only adding the small components needed to host new services. Often with the confident, how hard can it be, guiding our efforts. Our software stack is simple. We use one language, Ruby, and we have one messaging system, RabbitMQ, and we have one database system, Postgres. We managed to keep the stack small by making sure to squeeze every % out of each resource. And first, when it can't keep up, look at other options. But we still haven't needed to change. For example, our system for managing all our servers, we have around 15,000 servers now in 4 different clouds, are built using Ruby, SSH, and Bash, even though there are still some other great tools for managing servers now. The reason for this is that we found it makes it more manageable and easier to maintain, and it appeals to developers who appreciate a clean and focused environment. Our setup today looks pretty much the same, running on the same Heroku apps as it was when we started. It might sound boring, but it's very effective.
What matters the most for us is our customers. So if we have to choose between building a feature and improving our internal systems, we will always go for the feature. A result of this is that our internal systems did for a long time miss out on some vital things. For example, the billing that we built ourselves, how hard can it be, did lack support for payment reminders for a really long time, but it doesn't any longer. While we measure a bit and monitoring key metrics and values, we try to shift focus from planning to execution. And we always try to move forward without doing more work than we actually need to do. We don't make any huge plans, any huge budgets, schedules, or tons of paperwork up front. Instead, we try to build things. Similarly, everyone, manager included, should be involved in daily work, and they should be hands-on. And when a customer reaches out for with an issue, we should go above and beyond to find a solution for this, even if it takes the whole day, because we believe that in the long term it will always be worth it. And our commitment on focusing on what's important extends to how we build our teams. Instead of getting caught up by adding people too fast, we think that we build momentum better with smaller, really focused teams. So in the beginning, we were mostly hiring friends and family, people that we knew and people that we trusted. And over time, this careful growth has been rooted in looking for personality and shared core values. So that's what we look for when we hire, and we even have these culture fit interviews before we hire someone. And this helps us build a group that work really well together, and we can keep being productive and keep moving forward. We also work with the philosophy of freedom with responsibility, and when you do that, everyone needs to help out in keeping and fostering that culture and that way of working, where we encourage each other to experiment and build what you think is best to build. And it's about trying things and explaining the approach rather than sit and wait for endless approvals from someone else. And with that freedom comes responsibility. You own your work, and if it don't quite pan out, we work together to find a solution for that. And this trust also extends to resources, where we encourage each other to justify needs rather than imposing any strict budgets. It also extends to flexibility. We have never had any timesheets. Work whenever you want remains true today. So if you're a morning person, then just lucky you. I'm not. If you prefer nights, that's also fine. For us, remote first, it doesn't just mean that we you can work from different locations. For us, it means that we have to build our processes and our culture around the fact and the understanding that our primary way of working is remote. And we have a video that we recorded. All actors in this video are from the company that we would like to show.
Some people love early mornings. Others snooze until noon. Some think that remote working means working from home. To us, it means freedom in both time and place. Like prioritizing those moments that go by so quickly. Be able to go where the day takes us. Or work from wherever you want. Together, at 84 Codes, we are striving to let you do what you love and build the technology of tomorrow.
So, this might sound a bit dreamy, right? We aren't here to tell a story about 84 Codes being just one big happy team where everything runs smoothly all the time. The point of showing you this is something else, that sometimes loosening up structures and strict routine is exactly what makes things work. And this way of working influences everything, from how we document decisions to how we run meetings. Here are some tools that we use to make our remote work easier. From the start, Help Scout was introduced for customer communication. It makes all conversation with our customers available to everyone in the company to see. This is huge for knowledge sharing, as anyone can just jump in and see what the customers are asking for or asking about and how we're helping them. PagerDuty is helping us manage alarms for when systems are crashing, and they do. We found it very valuable that all the alarms are available to everyone to see, instead of just the alarm ending up as an SMS or an email to one support engineer, because this also becomes part of knowledge sharing. We also make use of Office Vibe to get a sense of how everyone is feeling within the company. So Office Vibe sends out a good mix of questions to everyone in the company, and then the manager or the team lead for that team can see how the team is doing, if something is better or worse. And here we can see if they are stressed at work or just bored working on a certain task and then can take actions. And for all internal communication, we rely on Slack, and we actively encourage open channels over direct messages to keep the information accessible. And since we're fully remote, we believe that it's very important that all meetings and decisions are made visible in Slack. This makes it possible to everyone to stay informed, regardless of where they are working from. For example, our development team is partially based in Stockholm, and the rest of the team is placed elsewhere. If they have a decision in the office in Stockholm about a bigger code change, they can't just start working on it. They have to make that available, make it visible in Slack before they can act on it. This is so the rest of the team don't feel left out. I would also like to mention some Slack channels that we have that we found very nice to have. One is called Applause, where we celebrate when someone's done something good, like helped out the customer, received some really nice feedback, since we don't get into office and can share them that way. We also have another channel called AFK, Away from Keyboard. And here we share more personal stuff, like I need to go pick up the kids early, or I want to go out for a run. The idea from the start was to motivate each other to get up, leave the computer, go do something else during the day as well. But this has actually turned into a log of what everyone in the company is doing, which is very fun for me when I sit at home to see what others are doing. So really nice. And for version control of our code, both the private and public is hosted on GitHub. And more than just version control, we also use it for issues and broader discussions. Issues we use for things that we have decided to do, and it should have a clear description on what needs to be done. Discussions, on the other hand, we use for things like custom request or internal request, or stuff that we really want to do, but we haven't planned when to do it. And here we allow everyone to give ideas on how to implement something, or discuss the best way to do it, and so on. So when we turn this into an issue, we have a pretty good understanding on what we should do. And for pull requests, we use the same template for all our repositories. It makes it very easy to see what the pull request is doing. And what you see here is an example of a pull request from one of our internal systems, doing something with metrics for RabbitMQ. And as you can see, the template has 3 headlines, which are questions to be answered. So the first one is, why are these changes introduced? And the answer to this one should tell, what do we gain from merging this pull request? And the next one, what is this pull request doing? Here you should describe the change, for example. What does the code do? Why is it written in a certain way? So when you review it, it's easier to understand the change. And the last one is, how is this pull request tested? Is it through specs? Or is it visually? Or did it just run on your own computer? And when reviewing pull requests, we really strive to keep the communication on a high level. And if more discussions are needed, we use a thread in Slack, or we set up a meeting, and then we share a link to that Slack thread in the pull request, or try to summarize the meeting, which has good support in Gemini now, for example. The reason we're doing this is that when you go back and backtrack some change in an application, you should see why this change was introduced, not see long discussions about minor things, maybe not related to this change.
I have this one. Now let's talk about building open source and building LavinMQ. The LavinMQ actually begins as a customer issue. So I will try to walk you through how it all started. Throughout the years, we have hosted a wide range of use cases with different configurations and workloads. And this experience has given us some kind of front row seat in real-world demands and challenges that our customers are facing. And we have found that messaging is a dependent backbone in most industries. It's a middleman it's a middleman for work queues and microservices, where it distributes tasks, so that, for example, if one part is down, it will still keep working, or if another part is slow. For the Internet of Things, it connects devices with systems in everything from warehouses to smart homes to a sensor out in the forest somewhere. It also helps companies modernize by bridging legacy architectures with modern architectures, helping new technology to talk to this old technology. And with data streams, it powers real-time analytics and audit logs. And we are proud to be the trusted backbone for many major players in many different industries. Our customers include one of the world's largest breweries, several of the world's most famous car brands, many newspapers, one in the US that reaches about 65 million readers a month, and a global payment solution. And we have seen many creative ways of push the different softwares to its edge. But on the other hand, we have also seen many users running large-scale, complicated, distributed event streaming platforms while they're just sending a few messages. Supporting customers in this more than 10 years, they made us experts in handling all these edge cases, and the start of LavinMQ was because of one of these, and it was when PHP and RabbitMQ users were working together. Their PHP code, it would set up a new short-lived TCP connection between the client and the broker for every message that was sent. And this is not how you should do it, but that client works that way. And this back and forth of opening and closing connection, it's pretty heavy on the CPU, and it slows down the RabbitMQ server, which is of course bad for the users that are using the server. And here we have the option. We could upgrade these customers to a larger server instance, but it would be just a potential quick fix, and it would be pricey, and it wouldn't solve why the CPU was getting hammered in the first place. It would just kick the can down the road, because when the user then started to send more messages again, they would need an even bigger server, and that would be even more expensive. So then, instead of the advice of scaling up, we said we decided that we engineer a real quick fix, not a quick fix, a real fix for this problem that the PHP and RabbitMQ users were experiencing. And our answer, it was a proxy. It's like a middle layer, and this proxy, it maintains a single persistent connection to RabbitMQ, and then the clients, the PHP clients, they connect to this proxy instead, which then handle the connections. And this simple yet effective approach reduced the CPU over what was called that the CPU was getting hammered, and it worked really well. We decided to call it the AMQP proxy, and this proxy, it requires a lot of understanding of the AMQP protocol. And as a background, both RabbitMQ and LavinMQ are written in AMQP. So when we have been working with this for a long time, we realized this works really good. It's going really fast to write. How much further would it be to actually build a whole new message broker out from this? And we did. We took the same mindset that had guided us from start, tried new things out, and just along the way, with a healthy dose of how hard can it be? Let's try. So we built LavinMQ, where we aim to combine what we believe are the most powerful core features across the messaging landscape. And the name, it comes from the raw power of nature. Lavin is Swedish for avalanche. And when we built this open source software, we thought we need a way to sustain it. Otherwise, it becomes very hard to improve it over time. So we thought to ourselves that open source, it sometimes actually needs to be treated as a business. The first user for us mattered a lot, and we gained our first user by talking to a RabbitMQ customer. We was giving a lot of support. We helped them out. We gave it out really cheap, this hosted version, and we were also selling it to them. We were not just we didn't just put it out there. We were actually selling it. And those early users, they helped us. They were paying very little. They were using it, as I said, almost for free. But we gained some valuable user stories from them, and it helped us grow the product. And a sustainable model means the project can keep moving forward. It's not just for the company, it's for the whole community that already depend on it and that will come and depend on it. So it's our responsibility to make sure that it actually will keep living. Today we have one dedicated team, one that's working with the hosting of this, making sure the customers don't have to worry about maintenance, scaling clusters and servers and the cloud and so on, and another team that is focusing on the development of the open source product itself. License changes have been a common way to found open source, but in our way we feel that this way of hosting is giving us this way to stay sustainable and stay fully open. Of course, there are many different business models to evaluate when building open source, and here are some that we were looking into when we built LavinMQ, and I will talk a little bit about each of them. So if we start with selling consultant hours, this was discussed. Mainly, it's a good way to point the customers in the right direction. They will use the software in the correct way, so to say. And it would give us the opportunity to meet up with these customers. It would create a strong relationship with them. And as I've said before, we are experts on this software and the ecosystem around it, so it wouldn't require too much effort for us to actually sell consultant hours for LavinMQ. But instead, our support is provided through our hosting service, CloudAMQP, where now you can buy LavinMQ and set it up in many different data centers. So instead of selling consultant hours, we were putting our efforts on building LavinMQ. And support has been part of our core hosted service instead. And finally, hosting also let us scale. It's really, we can get 50 new customers one day and 200 another day, and it doesn't require more people to be added directly. Then we have donations, and while donations are awesome, and they build a strong connection with the contributors, it's not a realistic model for long-term sustainability. And frankly, who wants to donate money to one of Europe's fastest growing companies? I don't think it's on anyone's priority list. Then we had the option of adding enterprise-only features. It's a standard model where you pay extra for things like SSO or additional monitoring or something like that. And this can, of course, help us grow alongside with our large customers, since we are focusing on what they want us to build. But we had said that we rather build features that are based on common community requests. And maintaining two separate versions would go against our core philosophy, and it would be time-consuming to handle two different versions of the product. Then we have dual licensing. It's often seen as a fair compromise, and it's easy for everyone to get started with private use. Why a payment, or it's required to pay for the license when you are a business. However, those enterprise features, as they also come with this challenge, it requires to actively verify the software and make sure that this enforced licensing is used by the businesses, and it can, of course, be a legal and technical burden. So our belief was simple. If we are the best at building a software, we are also probably the best at hosting it. So hosting makes it quick for people to get started. They don't have to worry about installation, configuration, scaling. Instead, they just pay a monthly price for this service, and they can use it, and then we handle the rest. And as I mentioned before, it scales very well. Of course, we have the whole DevOps part here that can mess things up. It can be really time-consuming to learn about all the clouds and how to set up servers. And if you don't have that knowledge already, this is a bigger step. But for us, we were already hosting RabbitMQ. We knew that already. So for us, it was a simple and easy choice. So it's a win-win. It's that our hosting business directly funds the development of the open source project, ensuring that the community gets an actively maintained product in LavinMQ.
Two of the most common questions that pops into mind when talking about open source is, where is the code and how is it licensed? Well, the code for LavinMQ is hosted on GitHub at github.com/cloudamqp/LavinMQ. And for the license, Lavin is licensed under Apache License 2. And the reason for using that license is that our company is built on open source. We make most of our money on hosting open source software. And that was only possible because the license allowed us to do that. We have been running services where the owner of the software changed the license, and which for us meant that we had to close that service down. And that's not fun, especially for our customers. But using Apache license, that won't happen for LavinMQ. There are many reasons for making software open source, and one of them is that you hope to get contributors. But you don't get contributors by just make the code available and say that it's okay to make changes. Just make a pull request if you want to change or if you want a new feature. Especially if you run the open source project as a company. Our feeling is that people are less eager to contribute to a project if it's owned by a company. It's easier if it's under a foundation or a single individual. LavinMQ has always been open source, and we have some contributors already that we're really thankful for, but now we're ready to grow the community. We are already a fully remote team, and we have all the code on GitHub and all the internal discussions. So this foundation means that we are already quite prepared to go to open source. But what we're also good at right now with LavinMQ is talking about the roadmap and also feature discussions publicly. We keep that within the company. But by changing that and move all these conversations to the public, we hope that we can change this and get more active participants in our discussions, not only internal, and also have more feature requests and more pull requests from our contributors and from the community. We believe that by creating a more accessible and open environment, we can grow the community of our contributors and make LavinMQ even better. And if you have more ideas on what we can try, we're eager to hear. You can just come and talk to us with the booth if you have some more ideas on how we can do this. Okay, so during this talk, you've heard how we build a profitable SaaS business based on open source, and now how we plan to bring that work into the open. And here are the 4 key takeaways from this presentation. Keep things simple and move fast. Don't overcomplicate stuff or drown yourself in complicated systems. Keep it simple and get things done quickly. Open communication. Open communication gives everyone an opportunity to participate. It applies to both public and internal communication. Dare to try. If you have an idea, dare to try it out. And finally, open source is the best. Open source really makes the internet great, so let's keep on giving. And with that, I want to say thank you so much for listening. We hope you enjoyed it. And if you want to connect, these are the QR codes for our LinkedIn pages.
Thank you.
Thank you.